The red, white, blue flying way up high, and we stand and salute to the ones that fight. And we don't give a damn if you don't like this American pride, American pride. Gonna fly this flag till the day I die, 'cause freedom.
Welcome to the Sunnyside Freedom podcast. Today we have a special guest. We have Dave with us. Hi, Dave. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am good. Thank you so much for coming on the Sunny Side of Freedom. I really appreciate you taking the time. I'm excited to hear from you. I want to get to know you a little bit, and I want our viewers to get to know who Dave is. I've met you on TikTok, and I'm just getting to know you a little bit more, and I'm really interested in what it is you're putting out. Your messaging has been fantastic. It's definitely capturing viewers. So, what can you tell me about Dave?
Well, I am the son of a Marine, and my mom was a stay-at-home mom and a lovely support system growing up. But I then joined the service in 2004. I was medically retired from Air Force in 2012, and then I decided to go into the veteran nonprofit field in 2014, and that's where I've been ever since. So I've been after my service, I decided to serve, even though I couldn't do that in the capacity of which I wanted to in the very beginning.
Yeah.
But it was just a little bit easier of a transition for me to go into that field. So I'm able to give back to those that I've served with and the community that I love very much. Because again, we've been through a lot. So it's just one where you feel a little bit better reaching out to a veteran that is a veteran, and you can actually see them for their genuineness, right? Because all that we want to do is support in any way that we can.
Right. And one of the things that I've learned just by even being on the other platform, TikTok, is when I hear veterans say, veterans need veterans. And that
Right.
sounds exactly like what it is that you're doing. You've carried over that service right into the civilian world. And as you know, I am a civilian. I'm not a veteran, but I've spent quite a bit of time here on the social media platform of TikTok. And I'm super excited to now be on the Paladins Network because I want to carry that over into this platform. And I want to start doing what we're doing now, which is interviewing veterans and giving civilians an opportunity to look inside the life of a veteran. What does that mean? What does that look like? I myself can tell you firsthand, just in the 1 year that I've been running Veterans Lives, I've learned so much. We've laughed a lot too, because I don't always understand the lingo and they tease me, but I have somehow now become the little sis. And they're good to me. They're like, all right, let's break. She doesn't know what that means. So I think it's fantastic. And one of the things that I've tried to do here on the Sunny Side of Freedom is bridge the gap between the civilians and our veterans, because people also need people as much as veterans need veterans. That our veteran community, it's no secret that there's a real struggle. There's a real struggle in our VA system. The system is broken. For some, it's working, but for the majority, I hear a lot of sad stories. And it really is a process that they have to go through. And I want to see more civilians speaking up, standing up. We often say, I got your six. Well, what does that mean? Right? What does
Right.
that mean? You know, a few months ago, Dave, I had posted a video on my TikTok. It was a very passionate video. It was a veteran who was pretty much screaming at one of his Capitol houses. And he was more or less saying, I need help. They're failing us. And he was the only voice you heard. And the very first feeling I had was if I was there, I would be standing beside him and I would make sure my voice was heard. And then I'd grab other civilians to do the same. So that's kind of what I've been trying to inspire, even on TikTok. Stand beside your veterans. Don't stand behind them, stand beside them. Yes, these problems and issues that they're currently facing within the healthcare system are directly affecting them, right, and their families. But as a whole, it's affecting all of us, right? Because nobody
Right.
likes to see anybody hurting. So I appreciate everything you've already shared. That already excites me, hearing what it is that you're doing out here in our community. And I've seen a little bit of that actually just in your videos. You're very resourceful for our veteran community.
I try to
What can you
be.
tell me?
Excuse me. I try to be. When I was kind of scrolling through TikTok and I was seeing some videos that were out there by the veteran community saying that a certain veteran service organization doesn't help or they won't help with this.
Hmm.
And that's just not the case. You know, these veteran service organizations, they do help. It just, you have to utilize the resource efficiently, right? You can't,
Right.
you know, you're not going to take a screwdriver and a hammer and use them in the same capacity. So if you use tools as they're designed, they're going to get the job done. So I decided to kind of start a playlist, and this playlist is going to be free for veterans. It's not going to charge. I'm not going to charge them anything to get this information because one, you can go to Google and get it for free. So why would I charge somebody for that? But then two is to give insight on what's out there and how can you utilize that tool appropriately. No, yeah, I mean, I do have a little fun on the app too. I put out videos that, you know, kind of like a military,
Yep.
uh, but yeah, but it's again, it's some people don't understand it. Like I just posted one where it says, you know, I said basically, why does S4 hoard all the NVG batteries? You know, and so not a lot of people know what S4 is. That's supply, and
Yeah.
NVGs are night vision goggles. You know, so
Yeah.
I try to play to that because I also want the civilian counterpart to say, what is that?
Yeah.
And or you know the veterans are laughing at it, you know, so like they already know what it is, so it's garnishing that impact, and it's actually engaging the veterans again, because some of them have even said in the comments that I haven't thought about that in years, you
Yeah.
know, because I even have a backup account where I posted about MEPS. I'm not going to go into exactly what it said.
Yeah.
Well, now screw it, I will. I said basically, I wonder how the doc that looked at my butthole in MEPS is doing, you know, so just something stupid, and then but that had over 300,000 views and over 25,000 comments about just funny, laughing, like,
Yeah.
you know, that's what this community is all about, and I think that there's a lot of sensitivity not only in the veteran community but in the civilian, and that's where I think we clash a lot because our
Yeah.
humor is so dark,
Hmm.
but not dark in the sense that we're trying to hurt people. It's just
Right.
dark
Right.
in the sense where we try to process what we just
Yeah.
saw or went through.
Yeah.
And the only way we can do that is humor.
Absolutely. I often say humor is the best medicine, and it's so true. It's so true. I have to say, I think for the most part in the year that I've been live on Fridays, and you've just recently started joining my Veterans Live.
Hmm.
So every Friday we join together, and it's been fantastic, but I have picked up on a lot of the dark humor, and I'm like one of the one of you guys most of the time. But even then I'm like, okay, you want to break that down for me? What does that mean? So it's taught
Break it
me a
down Barney
lot.
style.
Yeah, right. I already said I'm going to create a code book, you know,
Correct
or a crossword puzzle or something. But it really, what you're saying is so important because at the same time that you're putting out those videos, you're connecting with your brothers and sisters. And at the same time that you're doing it, you're piquing my interest as a civilian. I'm like, I want to know,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So it's definitely coming full circle there. So what would you like for viewers to take away from this interview today, for instance?
That we're not a whole lot different from each other than you think, and because we can get along, you know, yes, veterans need veterans, but we also need civilians.
Yeah.
And like a great example, my therapist is a civilian, and you know, I absolutely love her. I think I've had her for nearly 10 years. And sometimes if you have the blind leading the blind, you're still going to end up blind.
Yeah.
And we need that outside resource, that outside insight to give us more clarity
Hmm.
and to bring us back down to the reality of which life is. Life is shit for most. And you know, we're going through a lot, not only as people but as a country right now. I
Yes.
mean, there's so much divisiveness, and that's what you don't have typically in the veteran or the military community. On the veteran community, yeah, you do have it, and I don't like that at all. Everybody's becoming siloed for their own clout or their
Yeah.
own gain, which that is the wrong mindset. You know, for any veteran to do. I understand you want to be successful, but you need others to be successful.
Absolutely.
So,
We are stronger together. I don't know if you can read it up there. It's above my sun, the sunny side. It says better together. And so every morning I do a plank and I hashtag match my energy, better together. We're stronger together. And that's the message. Most have caught on. Initially, they're like, why does she want me to plank? And the whole purpose behind that plank is taking the time to be still with yourself, right?
Right.
Regaining focus, making your day count. I say that often, like, okay, how are you filling your cup every single day? Because what happens is when we have all of this chaos and noise going on in the world, we're already in a mindset of feeling somewhat defeated, right? We're
Right.
Depression is at an all-time high. More and more people are resorting to whether it's substance abuse or drinking, whatever it is, but they're not taking care of themselves. So the hope is not just the physical piece. We have to take care of our mental, our emotional, our physical. All of it matters. Every single piece of it. So when I started doing my planks, it was with that. It was like, take time for you. Number one, invest in yourself. Um, because you matter. You can't pour out of an empty cup. So you have to make sure that you're constantly replenishing. And how do we do that? What does that look like for you? So these are some of the things that I've worked on, not just with our veterans, but also civilians, taking care of one's mental health because it's so important. And I do see that they're getting it now. I'm starting to see more and more hashtags, match my energy, and how important that is, that message. Um, but back to what you were saying, and you know, civilians do play a significant role because ultimately we're better together. The only way we're going to establish what we're all looking for right now in the state of our country is through some form of unity. Will we unify everyone? No, this country is greatly divided, unfortunately, and it's heartbreaking. But every day that we have an opportunity, like you're new to me, so here's one more. And that's how I look at every single day. I look at
Right.
every single day as one more. That's, I call it the Sunnyside family. Maybe on your platform, you're going to call it something else, and that's another hashtag, the Sunnyside family. Because when you come into the Sunnyside family, now you have a resource. You don't just have me, you have many of us, and together we're stronger. So, a lot of our friends, I call them our friends on the Sunnyside fam, have become friends. Now they're meeting in person. And I think this is fantastic, especially our veterans. They're actually meeting up, they're getting to know each other. And I think a lot of that's been lost. And you can maybe speak to this. Some of the conversations and topics I speak on Veterans Night is how once you guys all kind of come back into society, and you have to assimilate, right? Redefine your norm, right? And try to figure that all out. You kind of leave behind all of those friendships that you just spent however long, um, whether it was deployed or anything else. So I've found anyway that there's been a lot of isolation, and veterans haven't necessarily known who to lean to. Family members aren't understanding, um, because the person that's now returned home isn't the same person,
Right. And
right?
the biggest thing is I don't really, a lot of veterans don't want you to understand, because if you understand, then you know where we've been, and we don't want you
Yeah,
to see and know where we've been. We would much rather empathy than anything.
yeah,
And even then, I think that you said it. They're meeting together. They're getting together. Connection is everything. People are energy. So that's why I think, and I'm going to be extremely honest. When I got out, yeah, the first 2 years were terrible,
yeah.
absolutely terrible. I wasn't connecting. I was absolutely isolated. But then I got to working in the VSO space, and I've been so much happier ever since. I've had bad days just like
Yeah,
everybody else, but it's essential to connect with each other, and
absolutely.
just not. I mean, not even people that you didn't even never even thought you'd be connected to.
Hmm.
So with veteran service organizations, their biggest thing is connection. You look at it goes back as far as the VFW and the American Legion, right? So they have a space they go to, they meet up, they're there for one another. Yeah, drinks are there, but they're still there with one another. When we
Hmm.
were in the military, we felt like we had a squad. When we're out of the military, we feel like we're literally all alone, and we only have a
Yeah,
3 day pack. So that's the biggest thing with that discourse and the connection aspect. Now, when we're out, we don't necessarily want to connect in the beginning because we want to feel as if we can do it by ourselves. We're going to be fine,
yeah,
and then we find out that's not the case.
yep,
We need each other
most
as much as we
definitely.
don't want to.
I can tell you firsthand, just even from being on the TikTok platform and running my veterans lives, some of my veterans who came in, and it took them like a few of my lives to actually really start engaging and interacting, to then maybe getting in a box, never turning on a camera. Now you get them in a box and they don't stop talking. So you see the growth there. But with anything, and I say this all the time, I'm like, we're not veterans, but I know trauma. It's just a different trauma. We can relate on some level. I will never understand. Maybe you'll never understand my trauma. You understand what I'm saying? But I
Right.
think that we can come together to at least acknowledge, you know what, this is what's hurt me, something's hurt you. So we know pain. That's our common ground. We know pain, right?
Yeah.
And
But
we,
we don't give grace though, and I think that that's the biggest thing is give
mhm,
each other grace, and give yourself grace, and knowing that yeah, you're dealing with some shit, and I think that that's the other thing that we also need to understand is that everybody has their battles. It
absolutely.
doesn't matter if you're a veteran. I mean, you have no idea who you're talking to. That person may have a sick family member, or they may be sick. And all they're wanting is what you are, right? And
Yeah.
they look up to you. And there's some out there that I've had hateful comments on my TikToks about how veterans are social was it social welfare whores and all this other shit. And
Hmm.
I just laugh. I'm like, okay, you can think that, that's fine.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, if we have this sense of community, if we have this sense of being involved, and you're going to find a lot more grace and joy in that because you're going to have people that understand or empathize with where you are.
Right, right. And that's something we've been able to at least do. Initially, when I started my lives, I did get a lot of that resistive conversation, like, you'll never understand. Like, no, I won't, but I know that we can at least agree on some things. Like I said to you, if I break it down and say, but I know pain, or I know divorce, or I know loss, I've lost a sibling traumatically. So the stories are different, but we all have one. We all have
Right.
one, just like you
Absolutely.
said.
Yeah. I
So,
mean, because if you think about it, if you think about it, you're not going to go through this life without trauma. It doesn't matter if you join the military or you
yeah,
don't. You're going to go through some kind of trauma, and the processing of that trauma is going to take a lifetime. It doesn't matter.
absolutely.
It does not matter, and that's where even with post-traumatic stress, that's going to be there forever. It's
Hmm.
not going to go away. You can find tools to help alleviate it,
Yep.
but you're never going to get rid of trauma. It
No, and it
doesn't
creeps
go
up on
anywhere.
you when you least expect it.
Yep.
And there's
I
really
mean,
no explanation. Um, I can tell you this about myself. Today I had a funk day. I call them my funk days, and I can't tell you why, because I woke up fine, and then all of a sudden I couldn't get out of it. I still functioned. I still went to work. I did the things I needed to do. You know what I mean? But I knew, because no one knows you better than yourself. But you're right. When you're dealing with PTSD, really dark places, and we are at this place in our lives, we've already experienced some things, and not all
yeah.
pleasant. And whether it's a veteran or a civilian, both can be experiencing the same situation, whether it be dependent on alcohol, for instance, let's say, right? Or poor choices, whatever those choices are. Um, because I often hear, well, I'm still struggling. I'm still struggling. It's finding those coping mechanisms. It's finding ways to get ahead of the next time.
Yeah.
Um, so these are all life skills. I'm not an expert, but at the end of the day, we all have to do a little bit better on the self-love piece, which is
Oh
love on
yeah.
you.
Yeah. I mean, like I still struggle with alcohol. I still struggle. I mean, I'm having one right now. It's just the funk day that you mentioned. I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
it's absolutely there. I mean, and it does creep up, and I call it the Rolodex,
Hmm.
because you're gonna have, like a great example, you're gonna have 3 or 4 people that you love in there, but then that last one you hit, and you're like, oh
Yeah.
God, I don't know about that
Yeah.
one. It's just a Rolodex of
Small.
feelings.
It's yes. I
So,
get it.
and for Rolodex, what that is, for the younger viewers, it's a thing. No, I'm messing around.
We
But
could really trick them up and just throw in some extra lingo if you want. Um,
I'm okay with that.
But you know what, my friend, though, one of the things that I have at least been able to do, even on my own platform, and I want to continue to do, is bring about that awareness. Like at the end of the day, we're all human, we're all feeling, It's just a different story, but that doesn't mean that you and I can't go for a cup of coffee or a beer, whatever it is,
Yeah.
and say, "All right, I had a really crappy day today," because whether it's common topics, depression doesn't just affect the veteran community. It affects anybody at any time. Anybody can be affected by any of those things. So that's also part of breaking the stigma, is constantly talking about that, because I think our veterans, to some degree, have given themselves an injustice, done themselves an injustice of secluding themselves to only the veteran community, right? And I understand
Right.
why. And I understand why. And then the civilians don't know how to engage our veterans because they don't feel like they
Yeah.
can.
And I kind of want to break that barrier too, right here.
Hmm.
And because again, veterans are hard to engage with only because they have to want to engage with you. And,
Yeah.
that's the other thing is that veterans also need to break that mold too.
Yeah.
And I was like that a few years ago, and I'm not even going to lie here. I was exactly like that. I did not want to engage with civilians, and typically the only civilians I would engage with is my family.
Hmm.
Because it's easier for me to go back to a comfort zone. But then when I started to kind of deal with, civilians, and I was, kind of running contracts with the VSOs, and dealing with them on a daily basis, knowing that these are just wonderful people,
Yeah.
so you can kind of trust them, to a point, right? And they kind of have to build that trust with the veteran, because once
Absolutely.
the trust within the veteran community is probably the biggest thing, because that's how we survived in the military. We trusted each
Hmm.
other that they were going to have our back, and
Yep.
then we get home, and then it's like, what the hell's going on? Like, and then we don't feel like we can trust anybody, and
No.
that's not true, but that's the way we feel, right?
And I think too, in society, I mean, we live in a chaotic society, right? Everybody's very self-centered, very self-serving. So when you
Hmm.
do come across somebody who wants to help you, even myself, I don't trust them. I'm like, why? Why do you want to help me? So
Yeah.
of course our veterans would think the same way. And that's why I think I've had the extra patience, because I'm committed. I'm like, it's okay. I never force anything on
Yeah.
anyone. I just let them keep watching. I'm like, you'll see, you know, because I see what can be done. I see it, and I've been experiencing it, and it's actually been a beautiful thing. I'll be honest with you. I think this past Friday, for instance, I don't know how long you were in the live, but I laughed so much that I had tears like for the majority of the night. I think I rewatched that live like 3 times. It was one of my favorite lives, and it was because of all of you.
Yeah.
You guys were all,
Yeah.
everyone that was in the box was laughing. They were sharing stories. Um, I was cracking up the entire time. I couldn't even keep it together. And the best part when I close out my lives is that's what I mean by that's making the difference. That's an action right there. Like literally closing out a live and knowing that all of the veterans that were there that evening were laughing, enjoying each other's company. They came together. Is a great feeling. And then, of course, we have our civilians in the comments section who are a part of all of it. So
Right.
that's an
No, I
amazing
mean, that's a
thing.
beautiful thing because it's connection. Like, I mean, ever
Yeah.
since I posted those resources, veteran resources playlist on TikTok, I've actually had eight, I think it's been eight thus far, reach out to me directly and ask about services and help. And, I'll never, tell them anybody's name or here or anything
Hmm.
like that. But just knowing that I was able to get that veteran over to a potential resource, and know, and really give them the insight of it, the truthful insight. But then I spent over 2 hours on the phone with them,
Yeah.
just kind of talking to them, and, BSing about what we've experienced on the civilian side, of that. Because truth be told, yes, we're veterans, but we're civilians now.
Yeah.
We have a different status that we go by as a
Hmm.
civilian, but that's what we are. I can't go to the military base and arm up and stand post. I
Right.
can't. It's,
Right.
not unless they really want me to let me, I'll do it, but I doubt it. But I can't do that. I can go to the commissary, but I can't go and stand post. So I think
Yeah.
that that's another commonality that we have to kind of get over in the hump, just within that um, experience, because I think we're going to be pushed to a more community based
Hmm.
type, and people are going to find more of that laughter, that humor, that love that we do need to surround ourselves with.
Yeah.
But with that said, still becoming the beast mode of who you can be. And
Hmm.
you're going to, just like you, funk days, you're going to have valleys. It can last months for the veteran community. because of the VA, because of the
Yeah.
other stigmas in the community, the toxicity and the negativity that we experience. But just remove yourself from that. You'll never see me in drama on TikTok.
Yeah.
You'll
I
never
avoid
see me
drama.
in any of that.
I
Yeah, I
avoid
can't
it.
do it.
I can't enable it. I don't want to be a part of it. I think the only drama I have is with TikTok. I, I make my own feisty videos like, damn it, TikTok. You took down another
Yep.
video, So TikTok infuriates me, but I refuse. And I don't the other piece too on TikTok, the one thing I don't do is debate. I'm not here
Hmm.
to further divide Americans. I'm here to hopefully unite them. And that's by leading the way and leading in love
Right.
for other fellow Americans. And how do we do that? It's not by me getting on any social media platform for that reason. Although it feels good sometimes. I think I called somebody a turd yesterday. Truth.
I
You know,
love it.
if you come in
I
hot,
love it.
I mean, and then of course you have to use specific language because you'll get taken down. So we're constantly dealing with the TikTok nonsense. But
Right.
back to what you were saying as far as like getting in a funk. Look, I've been in a funk myself. I could tell you that firsthand, and that could be for even other episodes with you. So when I say I understand pain, I understand pain. I understand pain on different levels from different experiences. So does it make me a little bit more empathetic when I hear someone struggling? Yeah, it does.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
because I
does.
mean, pain is relative. I mean, you have
Yeah.
individuals that have been in car accidents. You have individuals that have been that have been exposed to gunfire, and you have individuals that have been exposed to explosions, cancer. I mean, there's a lot of
Yeah.
pain in this world, and I go back to it. Empathy and grace can solve so many of our or I'm sorry, or so many of our issues.
Yeah.
That if we start to implement that into our communities, we're gonna truly
Yeah.
understand who people are. So it just
Absolutely.
infuriates me too when I see it. I just want to
Yeah.
shake them and just say, "Shut up, please."
Yeah.
Just get along. What is wrong?
It's
So,
that, and I often tell people, anytime you're on a social media application, everybody's a keyboard warrior. But what people fail to recognize, just stop, sit back for a minute because you don't know what's going on in their life.
yeah.
And this might be their way, their outlet to come out and use their aggression on random strangers. Does it make it right? No, because I don't need the nonsense. You don't need the nonsense. They don't know what kind of day I've had. They don't know what's going on in my life. But either way, I try really hard. And it's that in itself is a challenge, not to, give it back. Give it
Well,
back.
trust me, I run into it because I mean I was Air Force and I have a lot of Army and Marines that call me out, like oh, how is that chair, or something else,
Mhm.
like you have no idea what combat is,
The
or
cheer
well,
force.
yeah, I was security
Yeah.
forces, so I was security
Yeah.
forces. I never got to sit in a chair. I got to sit in a
Right.
turret, and I got to drive the Humvee and the
Yeah.
MRAP, and I got to sit in the TC. I've been on convoys. I've been on,
Yeah.
presence patrols. I've been on raids. And I don't really ever go into detail about that experience because at the same point, there's no point to it.
Yeah.
So I am a combat vet. People are going to call me out. I have nothing to prove to nobody. I have
There you
over
go.
3 years in Iraq.
Well,
That's how many deployments I've been on, and only I did only eight and a half years. So, about 3 years and 3 months is my target point for how much time I've spent in Iraq, and
yeah.
I miss it every day. You know, uh, Life was so
I
much simpler over there.
I hear that a lot. And
Yeah.
I have to tell you, every single veteran that I've spoken to, not one of them has said they wouldn't go back. So
Mm,
that was such a teaching moment for the civilians that joined my live because they're like, "What?"
yeah.
They didn't understand that. So
Well,
we actually, yeah.
I can tell you right now why, because when we were over there, we didn't worry about anything like back home. We
Mhm.
didn't worry about the bills. We didn't worry about anything. All we worried about was going on patrol, making sure that nobody died, going to get chow, going to work out, go to sleep, wake up and do it the next day. You knew you had a
Yeah,
subjugated effort when you were there. When you're here, it's the car broke down, the water heater is not working,
right.
this isn't working. Yeah, I got to go to work. I got to get in the car and drive this way. When it's just a simpler way of life when you were deployed, as
Hmm.
opposed to when you're here, because everything is
Chaotic.
there. Yeah, there it's a control chaos. You already
Yeah,
know when you leave the wire, you're gonna see something more than likely. But
yeah,
here in the States, it's like you're still going to see something. Well, I live in Florida. We see something every day. We literally had something that said Florida Man competition down here. But nevertheless, it's just here, it's chaos in every direction. It's not controlled whatsoever. It's almost, I made a video about it. It's like Finding Nemo. You have this conscience that forgets something every 10 damn seconds because something happens every 10
Yeah.
seconds that takes your attention away from your objectives. And I think that that's probably the more demoralizing aspect from a veteran to a civilian transition aspect. And I don't know how civilians have done this. I really don't, in navigating it. But I mean, I'm hats off to them because
Yeah.
I've had a wonderful transition, but that's only because I centered myself around great people. And I didn't get into stupid stuff. I didn't do anything that would put me in a weird situation or anything like that. I have very sound people that I surrounded myself with, and not every veteran has that.
Yeah.
And that's why I kind of wanted to start to go a different route with my channel, to give individuals the right information, to give
Hmm.
people a right outlet that's not going to be dramatic based, emotional based, or anything. It's going to be factual based, and it's going to be a
Yeah.
little bit of humor in there too. And just to make sure that everybody that comes to me, regardless of background or whatever you did in the military, I don't care. I'm going to help you.
Right.
And so, I mean, I spoke to one that served 2 months in the, I'm sorry, yeah, 4 months in the Navy. Like, I don't care how long you served. If you need help, I'm gonna try to help you
Yeah.
and get you to where you need to go.
And that's something else too I've actually encountered. I have a few veterans that join me every Friday, refuse to get in a box because they don't feel they've earned a status. And no matter how much love I give them or the our friends give, no, you deserve to be in the box. You're a veteran. Yeah, but I didn't see combat or I didn't. So that also happens within the veteran community as well. I'm like, but you served, you
Yeah,
signed on the dotted line, you know?
yeah. I say anybody that raises their right hand deserves a spot.
Yeah.
I tell a lot of veterans that haven't seen combat, I wish that I hadn't to a point because I'd still have my career. I would have actually retired January of this year. That would have been my
Okay.
20-year mark. But I got blown up twice, and they were like, "Nope, you got to go." So now I had to leave the military and find a different route in life, and
Yeah.
that in itself was traumatic. But I did, which I'm very happy with. I've got a wife, two kids I absolutely love. Like I'd rather be home. I'm not gonna lie, every day. Like, I enjoy coming home to them, and
Yeah.
not every veteran has that support, and but that's where we kind of come in. We make sure that they have that support, and they feel that love, and that acceptance. Regardless if you saw
Hmm.
combat or not, because that shouldn't be a category or even in the
Right.
conversation. I have a saying, we serve together, we heal together. Um, and so, because it's a lifetime process, and
Yeah.
we're not going to get through this lifetime without processing it accordingly together. It took our Vietnam veteran brothers and sisters, and it took our Desert Storm veterans brothers and sisters to get to the VA to where it is now. And now it's our obligation and job to
Yeah.
get it to where it needs to be for the next generation. So we make it better as time goes on.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You said so many things, and there were a few questions in there that I wanted to ask you, but I forgot them. And maybe they'll come to me. But I just want to say I'm like super proud of you. I think that's
I
awesome,
appreciate
just
it.
hearing your story, because overcoming those challenges, and I don't think we're ever truly healed 100%. Like we said, we get ourselves in a funk, but we're working on it. And every day is an opportunity to keep working, keep doing better. That's how I look at life anyway. Today, how did I do today? I do like my own self reflection. Did I do good? Did I need to do more? Um, but you're so right when you say there are certain veterans that are isolated, they're not leaning into the veteran community. They've kind of lost their way, so they've remained isolated. And although my platform, the Sunnyside of Freedom, has served as a warm, welcoming place where they know they're going to laugh, they know they're going to see their friends, and it really is just that feeling like, hey, you know.
Yeah.
Um, at the same time, it scares me. I'm not going to lie to you. And I've addressed this a few times, which is okay, my worry is this: how are you taking care of yourself out there in society, because if this application goes down, what becomes of these individuals? They're going to
Right.
lose this connection, right? We've built these connections. They're referring to us as family. So that worries me a little. So I'm really trying to push for, you know, how did you fill your cup today? Did you get out there? Did you make another connection in their circle, their inner circle? Because that's also very important. There are so many wonderful things that we can do if we apply our time and make it count. As I often say, make it count, within this application, whether it be TikTok or any other social media. But you're right, we have to do better. We have to try to be more understanding of one another as well, which is really hard right now because politics seems to jump right in there every opportunity that it can.
Yeah.
But what I will say to you, Dave, is you have a lot of stories, and I know that you do. And I'm really super excited to hear them when you're ready. And I always tell my veterans, you share what you want to share. I will just listen. Whatever you feel would be pertinent for viewers to want to learn, because this is what the interviews are about. I want to be able to give civilians the opportunity and even fellow veterans to hear this is how he's doing it. Maybe, just maybe, they will reach out to you or reach out to me or reach out to another veteran and say, you know what, maybe it's time. Maybe it's time I make some changes because we really, in order to get stronger together, we have to grow together. So I do appreciate you coming on this evening. It's been wonderful just to kind of get a snippet into Dave's world. And I'm sure there'll be more to come for our
Oh yeah,
viewers.
most
So
definitely.
I hope they stay tuned because there'll be more episodes. Would you like to provide any closing thoughts before we close out this evening session?
I think I'll leave you just with this one thing, and I heard it from a platoon or a squad leader of mine, and he says, "Make sure you clear your barrel, clear your chamber." And what that means to me is that clear it up here, and whether that is understanding, where you are, where you need to be, and what you can do to get there. That is the most important thing, and reach out to each other. And you were the whole meme on TikTok I've seen. You were trained.
Mhm.
Reach out to a battle buddy, and if that person doesn't answer, call somebody else. You call for help. That's the same thing, same concept.
Yeah.
Keep going, and don't ever give up. And it's 1 hour at a time. It's not one step at a time. It's 1 hour. Make it to the next hour.
Absolutely. That actually, you bring up another point before we close out. I think it was last week, I said, did you do your check-ins today? I'm also encouraging veterans and civilians, check on your peeps. How you doing
Mm-hmm.
today? So I do this with I have like an entire list. I do my check-ins. How you doing today? How was your weekend? If I don't hear from someone, I get concerned, and we've talked about that too. Like, hey, you need your space. I get it. When I get in my funk, I don't really want to talk to anybody. Just give me a thumbs
Yeah.
up. You're good. All right, you're good.
Yeah,
But it's
man, I
so
manage 10 people and at
yeah.
work, and I do it a lot differently than most. Um and because I know that there's four that are veterans and there's four that are civilians, and one is actually a current guard member. We make fun of
Mhm.
him a lot. But but I do manage those individuals, and truly understanding where they are. Um it is it is extremely necessary to ask somebody where they are today.
Yeah.
They're going to say I'm fine. Deep down they're not.
Yeah.
They're battling something, and just if you give that grace and you go forward, you're going to be so much better, not only as a leader in your community but a leader but
Mhm.
internally. And give yourself grace,
Yeah.
because I don't think we do that enough as people.
I had somebody actually, it's funny you said that. I made another video. I do try to do this once a week because I'm trying to bring the awareness. Um, and the video went more or less along the lines of, yes, I'm fine. I'm blah. I'm having a blah day. And somebody in my comments section said, can you make another one? And can you do, yeah, I'm okay.
Yeah.
Can you?
Yep.
So I said, okay, I will. So this week I'm going to do my, yeah, I'm okay. And what does that mean? And how do people, I think what happens is we live in a chaotic world and everyone's so caught up in the nonsense of the world. We have crazy busy lives, and we have kids and we're just all over the place. We don't not only are we not investing in ourselves, we're not investing in others. But I was just talking to my daughter yesterday. I said, we're never too busy. There are 24 hours in the day. It takes like seconds to send a text message.
Yep.
What is 5 minutes? What is 10 minutes? What is even a half an hour call? You can make it
Yeah.
happen. But
I moved 2 meetings today to talk to a very angry individual, a veteran, and
yeah.
that was the first thing I did this morning. And so and I listen to we listen to people. We have to understand where they are,
Hmm.
frustrations where they are. I have another saying what OK stands for, but I'll bring that up in another one, another episode that we do because I think it's pretty
Okay.
cool. But because I know there'll be more reflection on that word of OK going forward, especially on your
Yeah.
platform. Um, but what I do is not only the daily check-ins, I do daily walk-bys
Okay.
because with the people that I work and making sure that they're right mentally. If they took a call or they took, an email that was essentially kind of nerve-wracking to them, or they didn't know
Hmm.
how to really respond, I'll pull them into the desk and say, let's run through it. Let's work this out together, and I kind of give them the verbiage to say. So now it feels like it's coming from me and not them.
Yeah.
And try to replace that mental instability they feel on a daily basis, and
Yeah.
that's what it means to lead. And so
Absolutely.
yeah, it's I'm learning this as I go too. I'm not some expert on leadership. I I've been leading in the military, but then now in the civilian world for about 5 years now. And I'm still learning every day to try to be a better leader. And I'm just
Yeah.
hoping that the impact that I have now can only progress with them going into leadership potentially down the road, and they can do the same impact levels that I do.
Yeah.
And that can spread. I mean, it starts with one.
One, then two, then three. I've seen
Yep.
it and I love it. Um, Leadership. I have no problems with saying I will lead, even though I have
Hmm.
no idea what I'm leading necessarily, right away. And it's very scary. It's very scary, but somebody's got to lead and hopefully demonstrate and provide um, just exactly that. It's like providing the foundation for others to feel confident enough to be like, well, if she's going, I'm going with her,
Right.
right?
Right.
Um, and that's what it's about. It's like, okay, this is uncharted territory and I have no idea what the hell I'm doing, like starting a veterans live. Let me tell you, I really had to have a backbone in the beginning. I was like, well, I'm not giving up. You're not chasing me away. I know why I'm here and it's important. And looking back now, I think the funniest is when my veterans actually kind of go backwards and say, do you remember? I'm like, yeah, I remember. You gave me hell. And now
You
you
remember
want
when
me
we
to,
first started this? Do you
yeah,
remember? I gave you so much shit.
I gave you
So
so much
yeah.
shit. Like, why are you doing this? And I'm like, I'm very determined. I'm a very empathetic person, but I'm very determined. And when I feel in my heart, and I really did, I felt in my heart, but I also, working in the field of healthcare, I had the privilege of speaking to many veterans at their last stages of life. I've had the privilege of listening to regrets, sadly. So one of the things I feel, it's almost like a mission, if I have a role to play, if I have that opportunity, I'm not going to blow it. So that's how I'm making it count. And I enjoy it. I wish I could quit my full-time job and just do my lives like all the time because I love it so much. But
I'm actually the same. I wish that I could do that too. I feel like I'm making more of an impact
yes,
on a damn
yes,
screen. I mean, no, I mean, I really do
yeah,
enjoy where I work. I
yeah,
love where I work. I've been there nearly 10 years in July. And, I love to help in that capacity and truly be there for them. But I also have found a community on this app that I never thought was possible.
yeah,
Just people in general that are willing and able to follow you and laugh with you and just be there. So I have individuals that almost got comment and like every single post that I
yeah,
post, and it's crazy because I'll like and share the same for theirs. And I think if we boost each other up and we boast each other up, then we'll build together, and that's
yeah.
the best thing. That's the most essential thing to go forward.
Absolutely. I want to give credit to Mac, Dad Simpra, Simpra. Um,
Hmm.
when he was running the Big Old Cup of Joe, for instance, right?
I love it.
And yeah, he was running the Big Old Cup of Joe, which was one of my favorite things to do in the morning. And they kind of found me and kind of brought me in, and then this new family started. And I remember the very first thing I said to them was, I'm in no competition with no one. Because what you see on the applications, it's almost like creators are in competition with each other.
Yeah,
And
they are. And
they are,
I don't like it. I did not like it
right?
whatsoever because it's that right there is decisiveness.
Yes.
You have, people fighting back and forth. And the one thing I look at it as I look at veteran creators and larger creators is that they're rarely in any kind of drama. They're in some, right? But they're never out there just posting negative stuff but we go into these communities and then they start to build these other little communities that will try to attack other little communities
Yep.
or somebody else, and that's just not who I am. I don't do that, and I never will do that
Right.
because I'm not going to destroy somebody else just because somebody else doesn't like them. I'm not going to
Exactly.
destroy somebody else because I don't like them. I have this thing called free will. I can actually just scroll. I can
Yeah.
scroll on,
It's so
so
easy, isn't it? You just
yeah,
or hit block. Better yet,
yeah. I
just hit
mean,
block.
there's people that post like just constant negative stuff. I just scroll, and then I keep them on my FYP because sometimes they'll come by a video that I think is entertaining. They don't always post that, but when they're always posting negative stuff, then no wonder our world is nothing but negativity. And you're not concentrating on, like, a great example. We as humans, we concentrate on what we're not doing. We do that. It's a natural thing. We do that.
Yeah.
But what we don't concentrate on is what we are doing. We
Exactly.
are providing a life for ourselves. We do have a roof. We are attempting to buy food. I mean, my God, we're attempting. I'll say that
Yeah.
in a gracious way. We're attempting to live this life to the best of our abilities, and
Hmm.
that's what we need to focus on. We're focusing too much on where we aren't.
Exactly. And that's what being present in the day. Like when I start my day in the morning, it's okay, plank it out with me, work through it. What are you thinking today? I'm trying to teach people to be still for like 1 minute, 2 minutes. Map out your day. What's your mission today? Like, is it a checkoff list? Do you need a checkoff list? Because there's truth in feeling a sense of accomplishment at the end of the day. And it feels like crap when you can't get through it all. But then I also talk about, well, you got through the things you prioritized, for instance. That's an
Right,
accomplishment, right?
right.
So it's also important. But I love that you're not getting it, you're not engaging into the negativity because we have enough already. I always say that there's enough out there. They don't need any more.
Yeah,
Let them do it.
yeah,
I have no time for that. I'm investing my time. My time is a value. So if I'm going to be giving of my time, I want it to have a meaning. I want to give it meaning and give to others. I'm not leaving, whether it's you on this interview or on my lives, I don't want to leave people off in a worse state than they came in. I want to leave them off laughing like, oh, that was funny. you
yeah.
know?
Exactly. I mean, I'm not going to worry about negativity. I got real adult problems to deal with.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get the drama in this all. I'm not going to go back and forth with somebody. I've got real adult problems, and
Yeah.
I've got adult situations that we have to deal with on a daily basis, and other adult situations because I am in the service industry, the human service industry, rather.
Hmm.
I listen to it every day.
Oh, yeah.
So people can get on here and because this all social media is a facade,
Yeah.
and I'm trying to bring reality and normality to that facade and showing you who I am, but then also saying this is the other side of what I do.
Yeah.
So I never wanted to bring what I did as a profession into TikTok, but then when I constantly saw the negativity and constantly
Yeah.
saw the misinformation, I had to start saying something to kind of like to your point, use your voice. And then when I started doing the videos and I have, currently veterans reaching out, that just tells
Yeah.
me I'm doing something right,
Yeah. You
so,
are. You most definitely are.
but I
And
enjoy it though. I enjoy it.
awesome. And yeah, and maybe one day we can quit our jobs and just do this because I find it so enjoyable. Um, the other thing I was going to say to you is, so you're fairly new to the Paladins Roundtable Network. So welcome to the fam.
Thank you.
You're gonna be running your own podcast as well, right?
I am. Yes, I am. And basically, ironically, you call it the family warrior. I'm going to call it all family. So
All family.
that's going to
I love
be,
it.
yeah, just for the Paladin. I'm going to be
Yeah.
running that podcast just for the Paladin. I have another podcast that I'll run for my own business, but again, too, it's, I want to give back to a community, and that's the best way that I can do it. Gladly do it. And,
Yeah.
and trying to be there and start to interview some people that I find very interesting and intriguing, and kind of gauge it based off of
Hmm.
where can we grow as a community, and where can we
Yeah.
implement ourselves into our communities in order to grow them in the way that they should be grown. And that is through inclusiveness. That is through in acceptance, and really blocking out all negativity and just cancerous, toxic people. Because
Absolutely.
once you remove them and don't give them attention, they're no longer going to be cancerous
Right.
or toxic.
Absolutely. We have choices and we make choices every single day. How we fill our cup. I
Yep.
always say I like to fill my cup and I have it overflow. I do it for specific reasons because I need my overflow to go to anyone that needs it that day. And I really do try to do that. Do I get everybody? No. But do I get comments every day? Yes. Every day I'm like, thank you. That's exactly what I needed. So it's one, it's two, and it just keeps growing. It's about the messaging that needs to so desperately get out there. You also touched base on when we were talking about pain. Sadly, our country, this is something I do speak on greatly in my videos, even sometimes on my lives, specifically Sundays, which is free for all conversation, which is the word pain. We are and have all experienced pain at one point in our lives, but as a nation, we all experienced pain together. And as a result of that, we all came together. So I try to find that common ground. So we often say here on the Paladins Roundtable, or even in our videos, left, right, meet me in the center. Left, right, meet me in the center. Even when I get hate coming at me from the opposite side of the aisle, at the end of the day, I think I've demonstrated, at least to my friends on the lives, I'm like, I won't give them hate. What I do instead is establish common ground. I'm like, are you an American? You are. Fantastic. So am I. And
Yeah.
that's kind of
I'm,
how it
I'm an
goes.
American. I'm
Yeah,
American. I'm not left or right. I'm American. I kind of
I'm an
go with the Andy.
American.
I'm the
Yeah,
Andy Priscilla type.
yeah,
So I don't give a shit what side of the aisle you are on.
yep,
I will call it out for what it is, and I stand for Americans, period. I
you
don't
do.
stand for anybody else.
Yeah,
I don't side with anybody else. I don't do any of that, because at the end of the day, that's that's not me.
yeah,
I can give you grace about where you are, but I am an American, and we are currently suffering 10 times more than we ever
yeah,
have. And I think it's important to grow each other, and that's why
absolutely.
I'm wanting to do this in the right way.
Yeah. I mean, have I had my feisty moments where I'll put out a funny video? Yeah, because they've tortured us on TikTok.
It's
Um,
just funny.
it's just funny. But at the end of the day, I don't care if you're on the left. I don't care if you're on the right because honestly, sides divide. And if anyone's learned anything, is that it doesn't matter if you're a Democrat or a Republican. It doesn't matter. The corruption's everywhere. And at the end of the day, it's always been about, I don't know if you could see it, we the people, it's we the people coming together for the greater good and working together to do just that.
Exactly.
Well, we'll get
Doesn't
there,
say
my
I the
friend.
people.
No, exactly. Exactly. It doesn't say it's not race, it's not a specific color. It's none of that. None of it matters. One race,
Yeah,
the
that's
only
why I love the
colors.
military community, is
Yep.
because of course, we saw color. We're not, unless you're colorblind. I mean, I'm not trying to be
Right.
mean, but I mean, of course, you saw color, but we
Hmm.
didn't see it in the facet of that, because we understood that we're there for one purpose, and we're all going to the same damn place. We had people that didn't like each other, but at least they had each other's back,
Yep.
because at the end of the day, you had maybe, we only had 13 when we went outside the wire. We had 13 people that we could count on regardless. And that's where I think, again, we create squads, we create that in a positive light to give back to the community.
Yep.
So I know that we've organically, you've grown this conversation amazingly. I just,
Yeah, we have. Oh, we could probably talk and talk and talk, but we are going on
I
an
can,
hour of this
yeah.
interview. It's been pretty pretty amazing already, and I do want to leave some things for our next session, which I thank you for. Thank you for agreeing that you'd love to be a part of episodes, because I think that we can actually go forward and really hit on certain topics, and
Yeah.
I look forward to that. So for this evening, I'm going to say thank you. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Thanks for coming on. Welcome to the Paladins Roundtable Network. I'm excited to be here. I'm sure you're excited too. I think we're going to do some really wonderful things. It's pretty cool to think that you could just go to one place and choose your favorite creators. I think that's pretty awesome that you don't have to like go searching for them on the web.
Yeah.
Um,
I
so
just
you keep,
appreciate you having me, honestly.
oh,
And
no.
yeah, so I've done a few podcasts, and you're easy to talk to. So some of them are like, okay,
Well,
but yeah, you're pretty easy to talk to.
that's because I don't have a script. I'm just going with it.
Me
That's
either.
it. It's like free, free conversation. We're just ourselves. And at the end of the day, if anyone could take anything away, it's be yourself. Just be
Exactly.
yourself. You are who you are. I am who I am. We're staying true to ourselves and what it is that we're doing. And that's important, because I don't need to put on a show for anyone. And my friends know that, like, what you see is what you get. Some days I'm sunny, some days I'm spicy. But at the end of the day, I try to make it count. I do try to make it count. Well, my friend, thank you again. We'll see you again. Keep being you. Keep being awesome. I'm aiming the wrong way because the camera's the wrong way or
I
something.
it's flipped. So
Well, anyway, we're keeping it sunny, right?
exactly.
Well, keep putting out those awesome videos. That's pretty cool. So now that I know that you look for the comments, I'm going to start asking, what does that mean?
Yeah.
We're gonna create a book for civilians. Sound like a
I'm
plan?
good with that. I'm
All
good
right,
with that.
awesome.
Like they
All
can
right,
buy it in the series.
all
But
right. Well, you have a great night. Thank you so much for your time, and we will coordinate another time where we can do this again. In the
I
meantime,
appreciate you, Sunny.
I appreciate you and thank you for your service. Stay
I
sunny,
appreciate your
stay
support.
spicy, and always make it count. Bye bye.
The red, white, blue flying way up high, and we stand and salute to the ones that fight, and we don't give a damn if you don't like this American pride.